number one, I'm like, okay, if you have to discipline me, put me on a performance plan, a performance improvement plan. It won't happen again. You know, two, which is most important, nobody was hurt. None of the psych patients were hurt. None of them went missing. All of my documentation matched up with what actually was shown on the video, and I told them if they rolled the tape back, they would see it. So I'm not thinking in like the wildest stretch of my imagination that this would turn into what it turned into, right? So I think this happened on like a Friday. I ended up calling my supervisor, I think that Saturday, and she called me on Sunday, and she was just like, well, you know, there's nothing really that I can do, and I've already talked to HR, blah, 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 blah. I think it was like that Monday she called me. Mind you, now when something like that happens, you're supposed to have like a meeting with HR and a meeting with I guess the house supervisor that was there at the time and yourself, so that you can explain your side of what happened. That's what's supposed to happen. That didn't happen. My manager, who claims she just loved me so much, and oh, I'm arguing with the DON about who hired you because you're such a good nurse and we just love you so much and we're so glad that you're here and all the patients love you and you know your teammates love you, blah 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 blah. Y'all, it was like she didn't even know me, right? And so I'm so hurt on the phone, and I'm just like, you know, I really need my job. Please don't take my job. You know, I will make sure that it never happens again. I understand the severity of what just happened here, and it won't happen again. And I explained to her that I was going through some personal things, and I had picked up an extra shift, and that's why I was tired. And I was like, it's not like I put my head down on the table, although it doesn't matter. I was giving her context. I was like, I was just tired. And so, long story short, that was the end of that job. It was my first nursing job ever. And if I'm honest with myself, I chose that hospital because I did my nursing clinicals there. And I felt like, you know, it's not like a huge magnet hospital. It's not one of the top-notch hospitals. It'll be a good place for me to learn in an atmosphere that is like at a comfortable pace for me because I'm going to be a new grad. And I did bond with the nurses there, but I felt like this is kind of like middle of the road. You know, I'll just take this and I'll be fine here. I was never really happy with, I can't say I wasn't happy, but I didn't have joy, because there's a difference between happiness and joy. I never had joy when I was there. I'm the type person where I'm like a switch that you can flip when it comes to tasks that are assigned to me. I can be good at it. I can be great at it. But it doesn't mean that that's what I'm called to do or that that's where I belong. I was a drug rep for 5 years before I became a nurse. And I knew that wasn't my calling. I just was tired of school, and I was like, I'm about to make me some money. And so that's what I did. And I learned the industry, and I became great at what I did. And I was young doing it, but it wasn't for me. But I said all that to say, I'm sitting here and I'm like, please don't let me go. You know, I need my job. Of course, I had just got a new car. So, that was it. That was over. Now, here's the part where we circle back around to how God works everything for your good. And I want you to remember that the scripture doesn't just say he will work the good things for your good. He will work all things for your good. So that means the things that appear bad or negative, he works those things to your good too. I told y'all I had gotten into this wreck and I was going to physical therapy. Lo and behold, one of the nurse practitioners there that was treating me, she said, have you ever thought about going into management? And I'm like, you mean nurse management? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, I've been a charge nurse before, but not like an actual manager with the actual title. And she was like, well, you know, I think you would be really good for it. I noticed X, Y, and Z about you, and I have a friend who is a director of nursing out at a facility in Murfreesboro, and she's looking for a nurse supervisor. And at the time, everything was fine with my job. So I'm thinking to myself, like, that's not really a move that I need to make. I'm comfortable where I am. Again, I'll just take this. This is enough. I'm comfortable here. This is all I've ever known. And she had asked me that way before anything happened. Like I said, I ended up going to physical therapy after that job was no more. And I went literally, like, I think my manager called me on Monday, and I ended up going to physical therapy on Wednesday, y'all. Same week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I went to physical therapy and I said, hey, remember, mind you now, I'm like jobless. Brand new car. No job. I said, hey, remember when you asked me if I was interested in management? And she was like, yeah. And I said, do you think your friend still needs a nurse manager? And she was like, well, let me call her. So she texted her while I'm there in therapy. And the DON, the director of nursing, which is who she was, immediately texted her back and was like, hell yes. I kid you not, y'all. I am riding home in my car after hours, after business hours. The director of nursing of this facility calls me and she was like, hi, I was referred to you by, or such and such referred you to me, and she gave me your contact information. I know this is last minute, but can you please come in for an interview tomorrow morning, Thursday morning? It's Wednesday at like 6. I said, of course I can. I go into the interview. We end up talking in the interview for like 2 hours. I felt like it went really well. That Friday, y'all, she called me and told me that she gave me the position. So I was, and here's the thing. This is how God works. Like, when he's really trying to push you towards your destiny, he will not allow you to settle for less. Like, when it's your time to go, you are going to go, and you are either going to go willingly, or God is going to push you, or it's going to be some combination of that dynamic going on. Because when he has a purpose for you to fulfill, there are people assigned to that purpose that will suffer, and they will fall by the wayside if you don't walk in your purpose, because your gift is not just for you. It's also for the people who need the blessing from that gift. So when God says it's time, you can hold on if you want to, but you gonna get dragged. And now that I'm able to look at the bigger picture, I understand that God had to drag me, because I was holding on. I couldn't see what was going on. All I knew was I got a new car and I ain't got no job. That is bad math. So I went from being a staff nurse to being a unit manager for not one but 2 units at a long-term care facility for vets in Murfreesboro that Friday. Like, Monday I didn't have a job and somebody was letting me go. Friday I was a nurse manager. And so that brings me to another point. And I'm going to stop here because it's getting lengthy and I'm going to have to break the videos up.